Oof. Boy, she's skinny. Is her head really on that body? Brangelina or Bradgelina? I always get that wrong. I guess it doesn't matter. That is sad. So sad. I thought they liked each other. I guess, I don't know, so. I thought they liked each other, too. Yeah, don't mess with North Korean women. Hazardous to your health. Oh my gosh! Can you believe that Jerry Lewis was crippled as a result of having sex with Marilyn Monroe? When I was a kid, it wasn't so difficult to make the distinction between what was real and what was not real. So the National Enquirer sat at the front of the grocery store, and it was a real paper. And while your mom or your dad was checking out from the store, you couldn't help but read the headlines. They were fascinating, right? So, President Reagan had been abducted by Martians. Or Madonna had grown an 11th finger. Or JR shot himself, so guess what? JR shot JR. And while the paper sat there, sort of in this, it strongly and proudly sat there in this place of prominence at the checkout register as you left, nobody believed that the stories were true, right? We read them, we laughed at them, and we even, there's a little degree of truth to them, but we dismissed them. We knew that they were fake. So what's the story today? What has changed over the last 40-ish years to make it so that we can't distinguish between what's real and what's not real? Right? This is the reason why it's really important to make sure that you engineer ethics and difficult decision making. Because when you're not really sure if something is true or if something is not true, are you all on the same page? I mean, today, fake news is the news headlines, right? Fake news is what the news talks about. I mean, does anybody find that ironic? A little bit screwy, right? So, who cares? What's the big deal? It's fake news. Take it or leave it, right? Well, not so fast. Like I said, so if you're not sure that something's true, how can you actually manage to a common set of ethics? And how can you make sure that you're making good decisions? Right. So let's say you have a group assignment. I'm sure that many in this room are familiar with the group assignment. Let's say that your professor, there's 6 of you in the group, and your professor has said, here's the topic I want you to go out and research it, then I want you to come back having assessed the situation, I want you to draw some conclusions, and I want to make some recommendations. Familiar to anybody here, having done that? All right, so let's say you do what I'm guessing you probably have done many times, which is you sort of get together, you divvy up the work. Okay, so so-and-so's going to go do this, so-and-so's going to do that, so-and-so's going to do that. You're going to come back, you're going to pool your information, and then you're going to debate the conclusions, which are the real conclusions, which are, and what are the recommendations as a result. So what happens if 2 or 3 of the folks in the group are working from questionable information. And 2, the rest of the group is working from irrefutable information. Probably 1 or 2 things is going to happen. 1, you're going to do a lousy job, and you're going to get a bad grade. And the reason why is because you're going to try to bring this information together. It's going to be contradictory, and it's not going to hang together. The second thing, and probably the more dangerous thing, is you're actually going to make it work. You're going to thread these things together, and guess what? You're going to draw conclusions and make recommendations based on some combo of good stuff, bad stuff. That's scary. And not putting a political opinion or judgment out there, but if you look at what's happening today, you could argue that that's what's happening today. Stuff that just doesn't make any sense, we're going out and we're operating on, right? That's scary. Okay, so the key is, in order to control, get everybody on the same page, we really need to engineer ethics, and we really need to question and put these processes in place so that everybody's on the same page, so that we make difficult decisions and we make them the correct way. So how do you do it? Where do you start? You start with risk, okay? Because you really can't put parameters around ethics, and you can't put parameters to make good decisions until you understand what your risk tolerance is. So let's go back to your class assignment, okay? Let's say your 6 people are together. What you should do in the very first meeting is ask everybody, how important is this project to you, and how risky is it really to you? So I'm guessing that some of you guys are sitting there and going, you are crazy. I picked out this outfit so I could go to this meeting. I want to meet a few people here. And this is a little counterculture, right? You just sort of want to get together with your friends, with your students, do an assignment, be done with it. But here's how this might go. Hi, my 5 other classmates. How are you? This is the project we've been given. And how important is this to you? How many people here need an A on this assignment and will kill themselves to do this? How many people just do not care? How many people are in between? Let's say in that first meeting you find out that 4 of the 6 people, this really matters. I need the A. I'm screwed if I don't get it. I'm going to work really hard to get the A. But let's say 2 of the people in the group, they don't need the A, or they don't really care, okay? Right there, on the spot, class number 1, meeting number 1, you can determine this is a high-risk project. This is a really important project. Now let's say you're 2 folks who don't care as much. They don't really buy in. Or honestly, here's even worse. They do buy in, but in your bones they're not going to pull their weight, right? Okay, might not be fair, but right from the get-go, you can adjust for that, okay? So by understanding that and defining the risk tolerance of this team, so this is a high-risk project, which means your risk tolerance is low, right? Right there, you can say high risk, and you can engineer for the outcome that you want, which is an A on the paper, okay? Once you define the risks, second thing you want to do is you want to establish the rules. So the defining of the risk and the establishing the rules is the engineering, okay? That's the important part. So you establish measurable rules. Let's go back to your example. So let's say again, whether it's the first meeting or the second meeting, you say, okay, look guys, we're all in this together. We got to make this happen. This is really important for us as a team. Some of the rules that you might put together might look like this. You're going to meet weekly. You're going to submit your deliverables on time. You're going to elevate within 24 hours if you have a conflict which is going to compromise a deliverable. You're going to give and take credit equally. You're going to submit a high quality, better than anybody assignment. So, sound good? Sounds a little ethic-y, don't you think? Like there are rules, but these are sort of like operating guidelines. Say like, hey guys, these are the ethics with which we're going to operate within. These are the commitments that we're making to each other. So when do the rules and the risk become the framework for good decision making and how you make difficult decisions? When you commit to them and you hold yourselves accountable to them. So notice the rules are measurable. It's really important for your rules to be measurable because that's the way you can track your own progress as an individual. It's also the way you can track your team's progress. Are you living these? So once you commit and you're accountable, and you could just call it, in the corporate world, which is where I come from, we have like a million terms for this. Walk the walk, talk the talk, live the values. So these are the things that you could say the team is doing, walking the walk, talking the talk. But I would argue that this is the way you get back to what we've lost over the last 40 years. Right? Not knowing what's real and what's fake. Because this is real, right? The team knows what its assignment is. They've sat down, they've defined it, they've agreed, they've lived it, they've done it. Now, something to note. Just because you've done this doesn't mean you're going to get an A. There's other factors that come into play there, right? But what this has done, right, is it's put you all on the same page. You're all operating from the same page, which will give you a higher degree of success. So without this, you may not get the A. With this, you may or may not get the A. But the important thing is your odds are higher that you will get the A if you engineer the ethics and the decision-making for the outcome that you want. So, what am I saying? What I'm saying is you need to deliberately engineer your ethics and your decision-making. And why? Because nowadays, more than ever, we do not know if we're working from the same page. And we actually don't know if the information that we're working from has integrity and is good. So in defining your risk, you establish measurable rules, commit, and be accountable. DECA. D-E-C-A. So like a lot of people who do speeches, they like to come up with these clever little acronyms. And now I'm one of them. And there's nothing fake about that. Thank you.